Unlock the secrets of the paranormal with Paranormal M. If you have an insatiable curiosity for the unexplained, our channel is a must visit. Don't miss out on new videos. Subscribe and enable notifications for mind-boggling encounters. Story number 1. My Ghost Experience. 4 years ago, I found myself in Independence, Iowa, a small town filled with secrets and mysteries. My life took an unexpected turn as I was sent to a place that served as a refuge for misbehaving children. It was a peculiar establishment, one that had a dark and haunting past. The building itself was an old asylum, infamous for its practices of lobotomies and shock therapy during the 1800s and 1900s. Little did I know that my stay there would be marked by an eerie encounter and inexplicable occurrence that would leave an indelible mark on my soul. Living among other misbehaved kids, the atmosphere was always changed with an eerie ambiance. The moment night fell and darkness enveloped the halls, a sense of foreboding would creep into my heart. I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being constantly watched, observed by unseen eyes that lingered in the shadows. Each night as I attempted to find solace in sleep, the unease would intensify, amplifying my fears. The fear of the unknown would grip me so tightly that I was compelled to keep the lights on, the only feeble defense against the sinister presence that seemed to pervade every corner of that desolate place. Strangely, during those restless nights, an unnerving symphony of sounds would envelop the air around me. Amidst the low hum of the radio I kept by my bedside, I would hear faint ghostly whistling that resonated with an otherworldly melody. It was as if the ethereal spirits of the asylum's tormented past were trying to communicate, whispering their hidden secrets in the dead of night. However, it was one fateful night, forever etched into the annals of my memory, when I experienced the most intense and chilling encounter of all. The clock struck 3 a.m., a bewitching hour when the veil between the realm of the living and the dead seemed thin. I lay in bed, my eyes heavy with exhaustion, yearning for the sweet embrace of sleep. It was at that moment, in the depths of the darkness, that a voice, clear and unmistakable, whispered softly into my ear. "Hey." The sheer terror that surged through my body was beyond description. It felt as if time had stood still, and I was suspended in a state of shock. I could not comprehend the source of that voice, the origin shrouded in the night's impenetrable veil. Was it a figment of my imagination, conjured by the torment of the asylum's history? Or was it something far more sinister, an entity that had somehow breached the boundaries of the spiritual realm to haunt me? From that night onward, my curiosity about this supernatural phenomenon grew, consuming my every thought. I was plagued by questions that gnawed at my sanity. Was it an evil force that had latched onto me, intent on causing harm? Did it follow me back to my humble abode, lurking in the shadows, waiting for the perfect moment to strike? The boundaries between reality and the supernatural became blurred, and I found myself on an unwavering quest for answers. My nights became a constant battle between fear and fascination, as I immersed myself in researching the histories of the asylum and the events that had unfolded within its decaying walls. I discovered accounts of former patients, their lives forever altered by the barbaric treatments that they endured. Their tales of suffering and anguish resonated within my own experiences, forging a connection that transcended time. Driven by an insatiable desire to understand the enigma that had infiltrated my life, I delved into the world of the occult and the paranormal. I sought out experts, psychics, and mediums, desperate for guidance and insight into the nature of the supernatural entity that had plagued me since that ill-fated night. Each encounter provided a glimmer of hope, a tantalizing possibility that I was not alone in my struggle. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months, as my quest for answers continued unabated. Though countless hours of research and exploration occurred, I uncovered the truth behind the asylum's dark past. The lobotomies and shock therapy that had once been administered within those walls were the catalysts for the spiritual unrest that now lingered. The spirits of the tormented souls who had suffered and perished within those grim halls were trapped, their voices yearning for acknowledgement and release. Armed with this newfound knowledge, I embarked on a courageous mission to confront the entity that had haunted me for so long. With the guidance of a renowned psychic, we performed ancient rituals and cleansing ceremonies, aiming to bring peace to the restless spirits and sever the malevolent connection that bound me to them. It was a grueling and emotionally exhausting process as I faced the full force of the supernatural realm and fought against the lingering darkness. Finally, after months of arduous struggle, a sense of tranquility washed over me. The oppressive weight that had plagued my every step lifted, replaced by a newfound serenity. The entity, once a source of fear and uncertainty, had dissipated, vanishing into the ethereal realms from whence it came. Yet the profound impact of that harrowing experience has left an indelible mark on my life. It has shaped my beliefs, my perception of the unknown, and my understanding of the delicate balance between the realms of the living and the dead. I now navigate the world with a heightened sense of awareness, forever attuned to the supernatural whispers that often go unheard by others. Though the chapter of my life spent in that haunted asylum has long since closed, the memories and lessons learned endure. The spectral echoes of the past will forever linger within me, a reminder of the inexplicable forces that shape our existence. And while the questions may never be fully answered, I find solace in the knowledge that my own journey has been one of resilience, growth, and an unyielding pursuit of truth in the face of the extraordinary. Story number 2. Female ghost in apartment. Moving into my boyfriend's new apartment in January was an exciting yet slightly unsettling experience. As we were unpacking our belongings, his mom, who had come to help us settle in, immediately sensed a strange presence in the place. At that moment, I couldn't detect anything unusual, but my boyfriend confessed that he had already encountered several eerie incidents. According to him, he had awoken to the sounds of 3 seconds of mysterious music playing and experienced 3 distinct taps on the wall, and even encountered a chilling sight of a figure lying next to him on the bed. These spine-chilling encounters were just a few among the numerous other inexplicable events that he had witnessed. Curiosity mixed with a sense of apprehension prompted me to delve deeper into this enigma. One particular night, as I was preparing to sleep, I blew out a candle and turned around, only to catch a fleeting glimpse of a ghostly white entity. The sight filled me with an overwhelming sense of dread, causing me to keep the incident to myself that night. However, my curiosity grew stronger, and I eventually mustered the courage to discuss it with my boyfriend. When I inquired about the details of his encounters with this mysterious spirit, he corroborated my experience by mentioning the presence of a figure clad in a white gown. The similarity in our descriptions sent shivers down my spine, further fueling my determination to confront this otherworldly presence. With a mix of anxiety and determination, I made preparations to visit my boyfriend's apartment the following night, armed with an arsenal of spiritual tools. I carefully packed the sage, rosaries, crosses, holy water, and incense, all of which I hoped would aid me in navigating this unknown realm. My intention was to approach the situation with the utmost respect and caution, as I was well aware of the potential consequences of provoking or angering a spirit. As I embarked on this daunting mission, my mind raced with questions and concerns. Would my attempts to rid the apartment of this ethereal entity be successful? Could our actions inadvertently intensify the spiritual unrest, causing conflict instead of resolution? These uncertainties loomed over me, heightening my sense of responsibility to address the situation delicately. Arriving at the apartment, I couldn't help but feel a surge of trepidation coursing through my veins. The atmosphere seemed charged with an otherworldly energy, palpable in every corner. Armed with my spiritual paraphernalia, I cautiously entered, my heart pounding in anticipation. With steady steps, I navigated the rooms, methodically smudging the space with the sage, allowing its cleansing smoke to permeate every nook and cranny. I hung rosaries on door handles, their sacred presence intended to ward off any negative energies. Carefully selected crosses were strategically placed, their symbols of divine protection intended to create a sanctuary within the walls. Holy water believed to possess purifying properties was sprinkled reverently, creating a barrier against the supernatural. As the fragrant incense filled the air, its aroma intertwined with my prayers, forming a shield of protective energy against the unknown. Throughout the entire ritual, I maintained a deep sense of reverence and respect. Each action was performed with utmost care, mindful of the potential consequences that could arise from any misstep. I chanted prayers softly, imploring for guidance and peace as I sought to establish harmony between the realms of the living and the ethereal. As the night wore on, I couldn't help but feel a mixture of relief and lingering unease. Had our efforts been enough to appease the spirits that resided within these walls? Or had we inadvertently stirred a hornet's nest of supernatural forces? Days turned into weeks, and the apartment settled into an eerie silence. No longer did my boyfriend or I encounter the ghostly presence that had haunted our nights. While this could be seen as a sign of success, a lingering sense of uncertainty persisted within me. Had the spirit truly departed, or was it merely biding its time, waiting for the right moment to make its presence felt once again? In the aftermath of our spiritual endeavor, my mind remained vigilant, continuously scanning for any subtle signs of the paranormal. Yet, as time passed, it seemed as though the apartment had regained a sense of tranquility. Perhaps, just perhaps, our respectful approach and sincere attempts to restore harmony had resonated with the entity that had once disturbed our lives. Reflecting on this journey, I realized that my initial fears and apprehensions had transformed into a profound fascination with the unknown. While our encounters with the spirit had been unsettling, it had also ignited within me a deep curiosity about the intricacies of the spiritual realm. This experience would forever be etched in my memory as a testament to the profound connection between our world and the ethereal plane. In the end, my journey into the mysterious world of spirits had taught me valuable lessons about empathy, respect, and the delicate balance between the living and the dead. I had come to understand that our actions and intentions hold immense power, capable of influencing even the most intangible aspects of our existence. As I closed the chapter on this extraordinary chapter of my life, I carry with me the newfound appreciation for the unseen forces that shape our reality. And although the specifics of that particular spirit's story may forever remain a mystery, the impact it had on my own journey was undeniable, forever weaving the threads of the supernatural into the fabric of my very being. Story number 3. Did I see an angel of death? For quite some time now, I've been an active participant in this subreddit, immersing myself in the fascinating stories shared by others. However, I've always held back from divulging my own encounters, primarily due to the fear that people might dismiss them as unbelievable. Nevertheless, I find myself compelled to seek the help of fellow members to unravel the mystery surrounding a specific experience that I had. Please bear with me as I apologize in advance for any formatting issues, as I'm currently using my mobile device. It was a couple of years ago when my dear aunt fell gravely ill, necessitating her admission to the intensive care unit, the ICU, where she would remain for nearly a week. During that time, my family and I made several visits to see her, showing our support and praying for her recovery. Little did I know that amidst those visits, an incident would unfold, etching itself permanently into the depths of my mind, forever embedded into my memory. Though I've confided in only a select few individuals, those rare souls who seemed open to the extraordinary, I still harbored doubts that anyone can truly comprehend the profound impact of what I had witnessed. I vividly recall the anticipation as we awaited the nurse's signal to enter the ICU. Once granted access, we embarked on a journey down a seemingly endless corridor, leading to the room where my aunt lay. Positioned to our left was the bustling nurse's station, a hub of activity, while to our right, the patient room stood in solemn silence. Normally, I was one to keep my gaze fixed straight ahead while traversing hospital hallways, deeming it a matter of respect and privacy not to intrude upon the intimate spaces of others. However, on this particular day, a mysterious curiosity compelled me to cast a fleeting glance into the adjacent rooms that we passed. Mindful of the distressing scenes often associated with the ICU, I questioned my own motives for deviating from my customary behavior. But the die had been cast, and I succumbed to the inexplicable allure of the unknown. As we passed the first room, its curtains were drawn, revealing nothing of consequence. Yet, it was what awaited me in the next chamber that would indelibly etch itself upon my consciousness. Nestled within the confines of that room's bed was an elderly woman, her age unmistakable. Perhaps in her 60s or 70s. Her head rested gently against the pillow, her mouth slightly ajar, and her eyes closed in what appeared to be a state of deep slumber. I fixated my gaze upon her, my attention unyielding as we continued our forward progression. Unlike the other rooms, this particular one boasted an open door, granting a clear line of sight to the entity of its interior, as well as a window adjacent to the entrance. My unwavering gaze remained affixed to the woman, momentarily interrupted only by my intervening steel beam of the doorframe. However, I quickly resumed my focus, peering around the obstruction and beholding a sight that defied all expectations. An image so breathtakingly surreal that I struggled to articulate the sheer magnitude of the emotions it stirred within me. The woman, who had been in a previous state of slumber, had awakened to an ethereal presence standing before her. This celestial figure, whose essence radiated tranquility, held the woman's frail, tender hand within her grasp. An implausible thing as it may sound, I assure you, dear reader, that my account is an accurate reflection of the spectacle that unfolded before my eyes. The figure, which I can only describe as an angelic being, possessed a delicate frame, elegantly robed in a flowing black gown. A short black veil gracefully covered her face, while her brown hair was meticulously arranged in an elaborate updo. And then there were her wings, magnificent appendages, akin to those of an angel, yet imbued with an intriguing blend of voluminous softness and subtly sharpened edges. I struggled to convey their true essence, but perhaps a humble attempt at a sketch could better depict the essence of their majestic allure. The entire tableau exuded an overwhelming sense of serenity. The woman in the bed displayed an expression of unparalleled contentment, while the enigmatic angelic figure gazed down upon her with a kindness that transcended mortal comprehension. The paradoxical nature of the scene puzzled me greatly, for one would typically associate a celestial being adorned in all-black attire with ominous tidings. Yet the aura that enveloped them resonated with profound peace and an inexplicable sense of benevolence. Though the entire episode lasted no more than a fleeting 4 seconds, the duration it took for me to complete my passage past the room, it had remained a fixture in my thoughts, resurfacing on a weekly basis. Awe and fascination coalesced within me during those brief moments, leaving an indelible imprint on the fabric of my very being. Having spent an hour or so visiting my aunt, the enigmatic events of that adjacent room weighed heavily upon my mind, persistently demanding my attention. Consequently, when we evidently departed from my aunt's side and embarked on the return journey down the seemingly endless corridor, my curiosity led me to steal another glimpse into the room that had captivated me so. To my astonishment, the woman was no longer there. The bed lay empty, devoid of any signs of occupancy. It was as if the extraordinary encounter I had bore witness to had dissolved into the ether, leaving behind nothing but a lingering sense of wonder and bewilderment. Thus, dear reader, I find myself grappling with the lingering enigma of that unforgettable day within the ICU. As I share this chronicle, I implore you, the members of this sub, to lend your expertise, your perspectives, and your open minds in an attempt to unravel the intricate threads of this extraordinary experience. Though skepticism may abound, and doubt may attempt to cast its shadow upon the authenticity of my account, I remain resolute in my conviction that what I saw transcended the realm of the ordinary. Together, let us embark on a journey of exploration and enlightenment, seeking to comprehend the unfathomable and to expand the boundaries of our collective understanding. Ouija board experience. Let me tell you the intriguing story of an evening that unfolded with my boyfriend and me, where we decided to delve into the mystical realm of the supernatural by using a Ouija board. It was a night filled with anticipation, curiosity, and a touch of apprehension. As we gathered around the Ouija board, our fingers lightly grazing the planchette, we embarked on a journey to communicate with the unknown. With bated breath, we posed our initial questions, seeking to uncover the mysterious entity that resided beyond the veil. As the planchette glided effortlessly across the board, we eagerly awaited its response. However, something peculiar began to happen. A shiver ran down my spine as I realized that the atmosphere had shifted. The room felt charged with an otherworldly energy, and I could sense a presence lurking in the darkness. Feeling a sense of unease, I turned to my boyfriend, suggesting that we bid farewell to whatever unseen forces that we had invoked. Despite our shared apprehension, neither of us made a move to slide the planchette over to goodbye. It was as if an invisible force had taken control, refusing to release us from its grip. Suddenly, to our astonishment, the planchette began to move on its own accord, gliding across the board without any input from us. Our initial excitement turned to a mix of awe and fear as we watched the message unfold before our eyes. It spelled out the numbers 323, and then, as swiftly as it has begun, the planchette spelled out the word farewell, A surge of emotions flooded through me as I realized the significance of those numbers. 323, or 323, was not just an arbitrary combination. It held a deeply personal meaning for me. It was my angel number, a sacred sequence that had followed me throughout my life. Seeing it repeatedly, whether it be on clocks, license plates, or even random encounters, they always left me pondering its significance. Yet I'd never anticipated encountering my angel number through a Ouija board. The juxtaposition of the supernatural and the divine stirred a whirlwind of questions within my mind. What did it mean for my angel number to manifest through this enigmatic tool? Was it a sign from the spiritual realm, an attempt to communicate a message to me? Days turned into nights, and nights into weeks, as I delved into countless books, online forums, and spiritual teachings, desperate to unravel the meaning behind this mystifying encounter. The deeper I delved, the more I discovered an array of interpretations surrounding angel numbers and their significance. Some sources claimed that angel numbers were celestial messages, delivered by guardian angels to provide guidance and reassurance in times of uncertainty. Others believed that these numbers were encoded symbols sent by the universe itself, offering hints and signs onto one's journey. I became immersed in deciphering the spiritual significance of my angel number 323. Some interpretations suggested that it represented a period of transformation and growth, urging me to embrace the changes unfolding in my life. Others proposed that it symbolized harmony and balance, emphasizing the importance of finding equilibrium amidst life's chaos. As I continued my exploration, I stumbled upon an ancient belief that associated angel numbers with the alignment of the cosmos. According to this philosophy, when certain numbers appeared repeatedly, they were an indication that the stars and planets were aligning in a way that would guide and shape my destiny. The more I absorbed these various perspectives, the more I realized that the answer lay within myself. Perhaps the Ouija board's communication of my angel number was not a mere coincidence, but a reflection of my own subconscious desires and intentions. It served as a reminder that I held the power to interpret and create meaning in my own life. In the end, whether it was the mysterious workings of the supernatural or the intricate mechanizations of my own mind, I chose to embrace the encounter with the Ouija board as a catalyst for self-reflection and personal growth. The presence of my angel number reminded me to remain open to the signs and synchronicities that peppered my existence. Thus, armed with newfound insight and a deeper appreciation for the enigmatic forces that surround us, I ventured forth, navigating the intricate tapestry of life. The Ouija board had unveiled a glimpse into the mysteries of the universe, leaving an indelible mark on my soul and forever altering my perception of the interconnectedness between the physical and the metaphysical. Story number 5. What is going on? Lately, my nights have been filled with a cacophony of unsettling sounds that make me question my own sanity. The scratching, tapping, breathing, and haunting footsteps echo through my room, growing louder and more persistent with each passing night. It all began just a week ago, a sudden onslaught of paranormal activity that shows no sign of abating. It's a chilling occurrence that is slowly consuming my peace of mind. Haunted by a dark family history, tales of possession and encounters with restless spirits were passed down through generations. However, I had always considered myself fortunate, never having experienced such supernatural phenomena firsthand. But now, as I lie awake in my bed, tormented by these unexplainable disturbances, I can't help but wonder if the ghosts and demons of our ancestral past have finally caught up with me. Memories of my childhood resurface, vivid recollections of waking up to find inexplicable scratches and bruises adorning my body. Some might dismiss them as self-inflicted injuries, mere remnants of restless sleep, However, the truth was far more sinister. These marks were deep, elongated gashes etched into my back, far beyond what my own hands could have possibly created. It was a haunting puzzle that defied logic and filled my young mind with fear and confusion. There was a time a few years ago when I would awaken night after night to the sight of a spectral apparition, standing at the foot of my bed, a little girl, seemingly lost in the abyss between the living and the dead, would gaze upon me with haunting eyes. In the darkness, I could feel her intense stare penetrating my soul and stirring a primal unease within me. I dared not make direct eye contact, yet the weight of her presence was palpable, like an invisible force enveloping me in its icy grip. The entity that has plagued my existence throughout my life has shown a malevolence that cannot be ignored. It's made numerous attempts to harm me, dropping objects onto me with a deliberate intent. The objects were always positioned in a way that defied the laws of physics, impossible to have fallen of their own accord. These eerie occurrences left me in a perpetual state of paranoia, forever questioning the source of this otherworldly aggression. For a time, the haunting subsided, granting me a respite from the relentless torment. Months turned into fleeting moments of solace, and I began to believe that perhaps the entity had moved on, leaving me to navigate the realm of the living undisturbed. But now the malevolence returns with a vengeance, as if to remind me that my peace was merely an illusion. The cycle started anew, and with each passing night, the mounting terror threatens to unravel the last vestiges of my sanity. It is not only within the confines of my own dwelling that I find myself haunted. This malevolent force seems to have become an unwelcome companion, following me wherever I go. Recently, while babysitting my niece, babysitting in air quotes here, a chilling encounter unfolded. As I sat alone in the living room, a creature, a grotesque amalgamation of darkness and form, materialized in the hallway. Its eyes met mine, and in that chilling moment, I felt a wave of malevolence emanating from this otherworldly presence. With a calculated slowness, it retreated, fading back into the ethereal shadows. Though my memory of the creature remains hazy, like an elusive nightmare slipping from my grasp, I can vaguely recall its amorphous shape. A dark amorphous blob with an indiscernible countenance that hinted at a twisted, malignant face. And then, just moments after our unsettling encounter, my niece awakened in a frenzied fit of screams, her body burning with fever. It was as if the creature's malevolence had seeped into her very being, poisoning her innocence and casting a sinister pall over her previously radiant health. I'm now burdened with the weight of this haunting phenomenon, my mind entangled in a web of fear and uncertainty. The nights grow longer, each passing moment plagued by the echoes of scratching, tapping, breathing, and the footsteps that reverberate throughout my room. I'm no longer merely a victim of happenstance, but a pawn in a macabre game of the supernatural. The knowledge that this entity, this malevolent force, has transcended the boundaries of my home and infiltrated the lives of my loved ones is a harrowing realization. I am left to grapple with the daunting task of protecting not only myself, but those who are unwittingly drawn into this maelstrom of darkness. As I recount these harrowing experiences, it becomes clear that this is no ordinary haunting. It is a sinister force that defies rational explanation, an entity with an insatiable appetite for torment. With each passing night, the boundaries between the realm of the living and the realm of the dead blur, and I find myself teetering on the precipice of madness. Desperation now fuels my search for answers. I delve into ancient texts, seeking guidance from forgotten rituals and incantations that might banish this malevolence from my life. Yet, even as I immerse myself in the arcane, I am keenly aware that my battle against the unknown may lead to an irreversible outcome. This haunting has become my obsession, my every waking thought consumed by the unseen horrors that lurk just beyond the veil of perception. It has robbed me of my peace, my innocence, and my sense of security. The scratching, tapping, breathing, and footsteps persist, a symphony of terror that resonates within the depths of my soul. I'm left to navigate a world where reality and the supernatural intertwine, where the line between sanity and madness is irrevocably blurred. As the nights stretch on, I find myself teetering on the edge of my own existential abyss, uncertain of what awaits me in the darkest recesses of that night. Story number 6. My cousin was visited by her father's ghost on her wedding day. I've always considered myself a bit of a skeptic when it comes to all things paranormal. While the concept intrigued me, I've never experienced any valid encounters that made me a true believer. But sometimes life has a funny way of changing your perspective. To find some context, growing up, I didn't have any siblings until I turned about 11. As a result, my cousins and I were like brothers and sisters to each other. My uncle, my father's older brother, had 3 children, a girl and 2 boys. Unfortunately, Uncle C's life cut tragically short when we were in high school. After his passing, our family gatherings continued, but the bond between my cousins and me wasn't quite as strong as before. However, in the past 2 years, something remarkable happened. We started having weekly family dinners, and as a result, my cousins and I grew incredibly close once again. It was during this time that my cousin Kay asked me to be a bridesmaid in her upcoming wedding. Naturally, I accepted the honor without hesitation. She had chosen a stunning cabin as the venue for her special day, and we all arrived that night before the wedding to make final preparations. On the morning of that wedding, filled with excitement and joy, we gathered around the table, savoring our breakfast and engaging in lively conversation. It was a beautiful morning and the cabin exuded a sense of tranquility. But then something extraordinary occurred. Right beside the table where we were seated, there were these magnificent heavy glass doors that opened inward to reveal the front porch, as well as the wedding aisle and the arch that we had meticulously prepared the night before. Now let me tell you, those doors were not to be trifled with. If you didn't shut them tightly, they would swing open all on their own. As we immersed ourselves in conversation, suddenly, without warning, the doorknob turned and the massive glass doors swung open. A gentle breeze gracefully swept through the room, causing our hair to flutter slightly. The peculiar thing was, as the doors swung wide, revealing the empty expanse beyond, we could see that there was nobody outside. Time stood still for a moment as we exchanged bewildered glances. The atmosphere thick with a mix of uncertainty and wonder. And then, breaking the silence, Kay's mother spoke in a hushed tone, her voice filled with both love and nostalgia. "Well, hey, honey, our baby girl is getting married today." Those words sent shivers down my spine, resonating deeply within me. It was as if her statement confirmed what our collective gaze had already conveyed. In that profound moment, we all realized that my uncle, Kay's father, was present with us in that very house, expressing his love and support for his beloved daughter on her momentous day. Even as I recount the story now, months after that unforgettable incident, the memories continue to evoke chills down my spine. We were certain that it was my uncle, reaching out from the beyond to grant us a sign that he was still there, watching over us, and wholeheartedly participating in this pivotal chapter of Kay's life. Some may attribute this inexplicable event to mere coincidence or the workings of the natural world. But for us, who experienced it firsthand, there is no doubt in our minds that something extraordinary occurred that day. It served as a gentle reminder that the bonds of family and love transcend the boundaries of life and death, leaving an indelible mark on our souls. So I may still approach the paranormal with a healthy dose of skepticism, but that one profound encounter forever transformed me, teaching me to embrace the mysteries of the universe and believe in the unseen forces that intertwine our lives in extraordinary ways. And for that, I'm eternally grateful. Story number 7. How are we sure we aren't just hallucinating? Since the moment I first embarked on this intriguing journey of exploration, I've dedicated countless hours to immersing myself in the vast sea of knowledge surrounding the enigmatic concepts of the astral realm and the afterlife. Engaging in numerous discussions with fellow seekers on this platform, I've delved into the depths of this subject, thirsting for understanding and enlightenment. Along my quest, I've delved into the captivating realm of near-death experiences, NDEs for short, carefully scrutinizing their testimonials, and a peculiar pattern has emerged, captivating my attention. What fascinates me the most about these testimonials is their deeply personal nature, despite the uncanny similarities that they share. It is remarkable to observe the profound influence of culture and faith on these experiences. For instance, I've discerned that individuals from the United States often describe encounters that seem to incorporate elements of simulationism, envisioning encounters with authoritative figures akin to server administrators or managers who greet them in a cold, corporate-like manner, wasting no time in delivering a direct message. "No, you're not supposed to be in here." That's a quote there. On the other hand, diverse cultures tend to adopt a more esoteric approach, infusing their encounters with spiritual nuances. Moreover, in my ceaseless pursuit of knowledge, I've come across a fascinating idea. The prelude to astral projection lies in one's ability to envision and contemplate the very act of projection before succumbing to slumber. It is a well-known fact that the human brain, particularly within the realm of dreams, is profoundly influenced by our waking thoughts and actions. This realization prompts me to pose a rather intriguing question. Could the entire phenomenon of astral projection and the intricate tapestry of the afterlife, replete with its ethereal spirits and ominous apparitions, be nothing more than elaborate figments of our own imagination? Personally, despite my unyielding curiosity and tireless efforts, I've yet to unlock the mystical doors of astral projection myself. Alas, my attempts have been foiled by the capricious nature of my slumber, as I often find myself drifting into the embrace of sleep at unpredictable intervals, mere moments after retiring to bed. Consequently, the boundary between my waking thoughts and dreams become increasingly blurred, thwarting my process in achieving the necessary levels of control over the timing of my slumber that astral projection demands. Story number 8. My story. To be honest, I'm not entirely certain if this is the appropriate place to share such a tale. Considering the name of the subreddit, it may not be the most fitting venue. However, the weight has been on my chest for quite some time now, and I would truly appreciate it if you could lend an ear to my venting, and perhaps offer some advice. From the very moment I came into existence, the question of life and death has plagued my mind. The interesting thing is that I can recall the exact moment of my emergence, better than I can remember the course of my life. It feels as though it happened just yesterday. My first ever memory, if I may call it that, was a vivid flash of color, possibly gray or white. It resembled a brilliant burst of light, yet it also possessed a hint of gray, akin to the color one might observe when peering through a microscope at a petri dish. The second memory that followed was darkness, an experience of floating in what I personally perceived as space, However, there were no celestial bodies present, no lights, no stars. I distinctly remember the initial thoughts that raced through my mind. Where am I? What is this? Is this what death is like? What language am I speaking? How am I capable of thought? What in the world is happening? Before I could even finish articulating that final question, I attempted to take a breath, only to find that I couldn't. It was a futile endeavor, though unnecessary at that moment. Panic ensued as I felt an involuntary propulsion, a sensation of hurtling through space at an increasing velocity. I began to witness lights resembling stars streaking past me, as if I were surpassing the speed of light itself. After an intermediate period of time, whether seconds or minutes I can't be sure, I abruptly collided with the earth. It felt like an impact akin to the jarring sensation of crashing a car or riding a roller coaster. Yet I experienced no physical sensation whatsoever. Darkness enveloped me once more, though it differed from the initial darkness upon my emergence. This darkness was akin to the transition one experiences when drifting off to sleep. Throughout my life, I've encountered a series of peculiar and inexplicable dreams that occurred at random intervals. One of the earliest dreams I recall involved me sitting on a toilet while surrounded by my entire family. Curiously, there were also peculiar little creatures waiting just outside the bathroom. They looked at me with great enthusiasm. I remember gazing at the person whom I now recognize as my mother, yet at the time I had no idea who she was. Suddenly, a profound realization washed over me and I knew that she was my mother. Upon finishing my business, I glanced down into the toilet and discovered it painted in the colors of my country's flag. The sight prompted an eruption of cheers and joy from everyone present, and then the dream abruptly concluded. I shall spare you the remaining details, as the dream primarily consisted of disjointed moments from my childhood encounters with people, random family moments, and so forth. For instance, I distinctly recall meeting two childhood friends whom I perceived as strangers, while in reality we had encountered each other on numerous occasions. In that instance, I thought to myself, so these are my friends. That being said, a significant turning point in my life occurred when I reached the age of 3. While everyone else celebrated my birthday party, I experienced a sudden awakening and found myself questioning the identities of these individuals gathered around me on my special day. I had no awareness that it was my own birthday until the cake arrived. Ever since that moment, I felt like an outsider among my peers. I struggled to form meaningful friendships, and for reasons I could not comprehend, it seemed as though others inherently disliked me. However, after 25 years of life, I would say that things have generally turned out well. I've reached a point of contentment where I've met the love of my life, and I can confidently proclaim that I'm the happiest I've ever been. Nevertheless, despite my present state of happiness, I can't shake the weight of my own mortality. This topic has consumed my thoughts during sleepless nights for nearly a month now. That being said, I'd like to recount 2 paranormal experiences I've been personally encountering lately. I share them with you since this is a subreddit dedicated to the paranormal. The first incident took place when I was still a young child, perhaps around the ages of 4 or 5. It transpired within the confines of my grandfather's villa, a magnificent structure that he had constructed. At that time, I frequently heard what I can only describe as a stereotypical witch's cackle. The sound appeared to emanate from behind the window or even within the walls of the room that I occupied. However, whenever I investigated the source of the noise, I discovered nothing unusual, nor were there any traces to indicate its origin. Frankly, I remain unable to provide a satisfactory explanation for this peculiar occurrence. It wasn't until this month, when I embarked on a journey of introspection, that I started pondering this childhood memory. The second encounter transpired much later, when I was approximately 14 or 15, roughly a year following my grandfather's passing. It began with strange occurrences, a persistent feeling of being watched, and inexplicable noises emanating from various parts of the house. On one occasion, my locked bedroom door suddenly swung open as though it had been forced open by an unseen hand. I even witnessed the handle depress, as if someone had physically grasped and turned it. Furthermore, whispers gradually infiltrated my daily existence. Initially, they manifested as faint sounds, barely perceptible. However, they quickly intensified, reaching a point where they reverberated within my own ears, like a relentless ring that refused to fade. The first time I encountered these whispers, I succumbed to panic. The experience was anything but ordinary. Hastily, I roused my parents from their slumber, yet the strangest realization dawned upon me. I could outrun the whispers. It felt as though these hushed voices originated from a tangible location, despite their invisible nature. I could pass through them, even though I could not perceive them visually. It was a harrowing night as my parents deemed me irrational, unable to hear or witness the bizarre phenomena that plagued me. I huddled against the wall, plugging my ears in a desperate attempt to block out the whispers. In parentheses here, an interesting note. I can still hear them as clearly as I had, just not plugging my ears. End of quote. My parents even threatened to admit me to a hospital should such an incident occur, or recur rather. Over the next 1 or 2 days, my thoughts fixated upon the enigma that had infiltrated my life. I replayed every second of that bewildering encounter within my mind, transforming from fear to insatiable curiosity. True to form, approximately 1 or 2 days later, during the same nocturnal hour, the whispers returned. This time, I adopted a different approach. I reclined on my bed, turned my head toward the wall, closed my eyes, and endeavored to listen. It was as if thousands of people were simultaneously attempting to whisper into my ear, their voices a chaotic blend of unknown languages. As I attentively absorbed the chorus of voices, the whispers abruptly ceased, and they never recurred again. The third encounter occurred within a dream, a mere week or 2 after the episode with the whispers. In this dream, I found myself standing in a dimly lit, somber stage. To my astonishment, my deceased grandfather materialized before me. The overwhelming emotions of grief and remorse washed over me, fueled by a profound sense of longing for his presence, and a deep regret for the actions and missed opportunities in our shared lives. I collapsed to my knees, embracing him tightly, while tears cascaded down my face. Apologies poured forth from my lips in an unceasing torrent, as if time itself had folded upon the solitary moment. This dream was unlike any I had ever experienced before or since. And so, dear listener, that concludes my story. I invite you to share your thoughts on my meandering life narrative. And, should you possess any insights, kindly provide me with your perspective on this enigmatic puzzle that has captivated my existence. Story number 9. Scary Situation. When I think about my mother's apartment complex, nestled on the outskirts of Parkersburg, West Virginia, right where it transitions into Mineral Wells, a rush of memories floods my mind. You see, the complex is situated on a dead-end road, although not quite at the dead end itself. The times I spent living with her, parking my car on that concrete slab beside the entrance sign, seeking out the precious Wi-Fi signal emanating from a nearby house. My nocturnal nature led me to these late-night endeavors, usually around 2 a.m. when the world was hushed and the darkness enveloped everything. One particular night as I sat in my car engrossed in my phone, an unsettling sensation began to creep up on me. It was as if something, a shadow perhaps, kept flitting in, and it reflected my passenger side mirror. The feeling of being watched consumed me, refusing to be shaken off. and I must confess the woods surrounding the area always gave me an eerie vibe. Even a simple walk down the road would send shivers down my spine, burdening me with overwhelming anxiety. The intensity of it all would often be so paralyzing that once I reached the entrance sign, I would break into a sprint until I reached the safety of the apartment complex office. But let us return to that fateful night. Frustrated by the persistent shadows and my eyes struggling to adjust to the darkness after my phone-induced reverie, I decided to illuminate the surroundings by switching on the headlights. And there it was, right at the edge of the woods. A tall, enigmatic figure. It appeared to be retreating gradually, inching its way back into the depths of the forest. Panic seized me, and without a moment's hesitation, I started the engine, flooring the pedal as I sped away, my heart pounding in my chest. Seeking refuge at a nearby gas station, I caught my breath, realizing that there must have been two of those creatures. The evidence was undeniable, the presence of something or someone lurking around my car, watching my every move. I can't forget the sight of that towering gray form, though the details of its face elude my memory. The sheer terror I felt at that moment compelled me to flee without giving it a second glance. To this day, I swear to myself that I will never venture down that road after nightfall, especially when I find myself alone. The mere thought of it sends chills down my spine, triggering an instinctive aversion to the dark and the unknown. It is worth noting that there have been a couple of instances when I had to traverse a country road while walking back from my friend's house, which was a few miles away from my mother's place. During these treks, an uncanny sensation would grip me, compelling me to quicken my pace significantly. It felt as if an unseen force, brimming with anger and hostility, resided within the woods surrounding that particular area. I struggled to articulate the inexplicable nature of this feeling. It was as if an invisible entity vehemently despised my presence and urgently demanded my departure. These unsettling encounters, both near my mother's apartment complex and along the country road, have left indelible marks on my psyche. The world can be a mysterious and foreboding place, concealing secrets and inexplicable phenomena that we may never fully comprehend. Story number 10. Was this a ghost cat? Let me take you on a captivating journey through the vivid recollection of an unforgettable event that transpired in my life. It was roughly a year or two ago when my parents' dear friends graced our home with their presence for a delightful dinner. Little did I know that this seemingly ordinary evening would unravel into a series of perplexing occurrences that would forever linger in the depths of my memory. As the evening progressed, our joyful feast reached its satisfying conclusion, leaving me with an insatiable appetite for dessert. However, fate had a peculiar twist in store for me. Just as I was about to indulge in the sweet delicacies that awaited me, I noticed an unsightly stain of vibrant spaghetti sauce adorning my shirt. Eager to rectify this mishap, I excused myself from the jovial atmosphere and ascended the staircase towards my bedroom, harboring the hope of exchanging my soiled garment with a fresh one. That's a pretty intense way to explain that. Okay. Upon reaching my room, I positioned myself in front of the open closet, its contents beckoning me to make a choice from among the array of garments hanging before my eyes. As I deliberated over which shirt to don, a subtle movement caught my attention, diverting my gaze toward the entrance of my room. To my surprise, there she was, my beloved feline companion, otherwise known as a cat, lazily meandering into the room, her enchanting presence momentarily stealing the spotlight from my wardrobe conundrum. Intrigued by the company of my furry friend, I instinctively bent over, my hand outstretched to initiate a tender caress. However, the instant my fingertips made contact with her ethereal form, a bewildering sensation engulfed me. It was as though my hand had traversed a spectral veil, passing through her corporeal essence with an eerie ease. In an instant, she vanished from sight, leaving me in a state of utter bewilderment and disbelief. Overwhelmed by the bizarre circumstances that had unfolded, a blood-curdling scream tore through the silence of my room, reverberating through the walls and echoing throughout the house. Driven by a mixture of fear and confusion, I hastily descended the stairs, my footsteps echoing in tandem with the racing beats of my heart. As I emerged into the living area, a scene of perplexed faces greeted me. Every individual present, from my parents to the siblings and our esteemed guests, wore an expression of bewilderment and concern. Their eyes, filled with curiosity and worry, eagerly sought an explanation for the traumatic outburst that had shattered the tranquility of the evening. Struggling to articulate the inexplicable events that had transpired, I cast a frantic glance around the room, desperately searching for answers. Amidst the sea of perplexed gazes, my eyes finally alighted upon a sight that shook me to my core. There she was, perched regally upon a plush chair, her serene countenance betraying no hint of the otherworldly encounter that had just unfolded. My cat, seemingly untouched by the extraordinary circumstances that had plagued my room, slept peacefully, her rhythmic breathing serving as a stark contrast to the turmoil that churned within me. As I stood there, the weight of my revelation pressing upon my conscience, I hesitated to share the perplexing truth that had befallen me. Fearing the judgment and skepticism that would inevitably accompany my tale, I chose instead to downplay the surreal encounter, resorting to a simpler explanation. I mustered the courage to fabricate a mundane excuse, attributing my startled scream to a harmless arachnid that had crossed my path. Yet the enigma lingered, plaguing my thoughts with unanswered questions. How could I reconcile the ethereal encounter that had befallen me with the living, breathing presence of my cat? The logical explanations that danced at the periphery of my mind fell woefully short, leaving me grasping at straws in an attempt to comprehend the unfathomable. So, dear listener, I find myself turning to you in a desperate plea for enlightenment. What, pray tell, could possibly explain the inexplicable here? How could my cat vanish into thin air only to reappear unscathed moments later, defying the boundaries of reality itself? Alas, the passage of time has done little to quell the burning curiosity that consumes me, leaving me forever entangled in a web of uncertainty that this peculiar incident has woven. And so, with bated breath and an insatiable thirst for answers, I implore anyone who might possess the knowledge or insight to shed light upon this confounding mystery. For in this realm of the inexplicable, where the boundaries between the tangible and the intangible blur, the quest for understanding becomes an eternal flame that flickers within the depths of my consciousness, forever urging me to seek the truth that lies just beyond my grasp. Story number 11. Southern Appalachian Peakers. Peakers in quotes. Living in the serene landscapes of southern Appalachia, nestled beside the majestic Pisgah and DuPont forests, has granted me a peculiar window into the enigmatic realm of the supernatural. It is a sight that greets me with regularity, as if an ethereal invitation into the unknown. These inexplicable encounters take the form of shadowy beings, their visages obscured by darkness, their stature reaching an average of 5.5 or 6 feet in height. They possess an otherworldly quality, playfully peering at me from behind the veil of ancient trees. While my knowledge of the paranormal phenomena may be limited, it's the only conclusion that befits the perplexing nature of these encounters. For no matter how diligently I search, these enigmatic figures always manage to elude my grasp, vanishing as swiftly as they had appeared, leaving only a sense of intrigue in their wake. The sighting of at least 3 of these mystical beings has become an integral part of my daily routine, an ethereal ballet performed amidst the backdrop of nature's splendor. Perhaps the most confounding aspect about these encounters lies in the behavior of these shadowy entities. After momentarily revealing themselves to my curious gaze, they retreat behind the gnarled trunks of ancient oaks and hidden foliage. But it's not merely retreat into obscurity, it is a calculated game of hide and seek with an unspoken understanding. A few fleeting seconds pass, and then almost mischievously, they emerge once more, as if to ensure that I remain captivated by their presence. It's as though they wish to ascertain whether I've continued on my path or remained transfixed, their inquisitive nature shining through with each furtive glance. Curiously enough, these mysterious beings have never exhibited any signs of aggression or malice towards me. Our coexistence, albeit a peaceful-ish one, teeters on the border of comprehension and intrigue. They, with their impish curiosity, and I, with my ceaseless wonder, dance upon the delicate tightrope of curiosity and acceptance. I yearn for answers, so once again I turn to you, and with a glimmer of hope. Might you possess the key to unraveling this? Could you shed light upon the entity of these ethereal figures that grace my daily existence? I understand that the depths of the unknown are vast, and that my plea may go unanswered. Yet, in sharing this anecdote, perhaps there will be those among you who find solace or amusement in this fantastical account. For in the realm of the supernatural, curiosity forever abounds, and the quest for understanding serves as a beacon that guides our collective imagination. Story number 12. My dog barks at one corner of the room all night and gets freaked. Hey there, everyone. I wanted to share an intriguing story about my incredible service dog. You see, my loyal companion is specially trained to exhibit exceptional behavior, such as refraining from growling or barking unnecessarily. This remarkable journey began around Christmas, a time filled with joy and merriment, but it soon took an unexpected turn. At first, I started experiencing peculiar phenomena. Unusual noises would echo through the house, and I would catch fleeting glimpses of unexplained figures out of the corner of my eye. Even more perplexing, there were instances when I found the bathroom light switched on, despite my vivid memory of it turning off. I dismissed these occurrences as mere lapses in my own memory, assuming I had forgotten some mundane details. Now, let me tell you about my dog's living arrangements. His cozy little haven is situated in the living room, where he sleeps peacefully at night. However, as the strange incidents continued, I noticed his normally well-groomed fur standing on end, indicating his heightened sense of alertness. He would tirelessly bark at a specific corner, fixated on something invisible to my eyes. To address this behavior, his trainer advised me to confine him to a cage whenever he would bark, with the intention of teaching him not to engage in such vocal outbursts. Thus, I faithfully followed this guidance and ensured my furry companion stayed in his designated space during these episodes. Then one fateful day, fate conspired to leave us home alone. As the hours ticked by, an uncanny atmosphere settled in, and my dog's behavior took a disconcerting turn. His gaze fixated on that very corner, his hair raised in an instinctive response, accompanied by low growls that emanated from deep within him. Curiously, he positioned himself atop me, as if forming a protective shield warding off an invisible threat. Any attempt to rise from my spot was met with his persistent herding, compelling me to move in a circular motion, all while his eyes remained transfixed on that mysterious area, his growls unabating. Adding to the confusion surrounding this ordeal, there was a peculiar matter of the bathroom. No matter how enticing the enticements I offered him, even his favorite treats, my canine companion vehemently refused to enter that sacred space. It may seem trivial to mention, but it adds another layer to the enigmatic events unfolding in my life. Now, dear listeners, let me recount an incident that transpired just the other night, forever etching itself into the recesses of my mind, as always. As I lay in a blissful slumber, a chilling sensation crept across my back, as if an icy presence had descended upon me. I startled awake, my senses alert and adrenaline coursing through my veins, only to be met with an inexplicable pressure, like someone had deliberately pressed a cold, square object against my back. Bewildered and disturbed, I attempted to rise from my bed, only to be struck by an unseen force akin to an elbow jabbing into my back. This unexpected assault startled my faithful canine companion, causing him to dart out into the living room, his growls resonating from the depths of his being, directed at that very corner as if an ethereal presence had walked out of my room, and he had dutifully pursued it, eager to protect me from this invisible intruder. Now, my personal beliefs don't particularly align with notions of the paranormal, but tales abound of animals perceiving realities beyond human comprehension. And in light of my canine companion's unwavering vigilance, his ability to sense and react to the presence of something beyond his own perception, find myself questioning the boundaries of what we consider as tangible. In conclusion, the inexplicable appearances that have unfolded in my home continue to both perplex and intrigue me. I share this account not to seek validation or affirm the existence of the supernatural, but rather to celebrate the remarkable bond I share with my service dog, who, in his unique way, has become a steadfast guardian, alerting me to a realm that remains invisible to my eyes, but perceptible to his remarkable senses. Story number 13. Midwest, quote-unquote, haunted playground. During my 20s in the tranquil suburbs of the Midwest, an intriguing legend came my way, unveiling a playground known as the Haunted Playground. Initially, I dismissed the notion of it being haunted, convinced that it was merely a product of an overactive imagination. However, curiosity got the better of me, and one fateful night, accompanied by a group of friends, I ventured into the enigmatic realm of the haunted playground. Little did I know that this would mark the beginning of a series of eerie encounters that would weave their way into the tapestry of our lives over the next couple of years. As we delved into the dimly lit playground, an eerie ambiance embraced us. It was an ethereal playground, frozen in time, brimming with the peculiar energy that sent shivers down our spines. Intrigued by the strange tales that we had heard, we decided to bring unsuspecting friends to the playground, purposefully withholding any information about its haunted reputation. We were eager to witness their reactions and determined that if they too would sense the otherworldly vibes permeating the air. Countless peculiar incidents unfolded during our visits, each one leaving an indelible mark on our collective memory. One particular occasion stands out among the rest. We had invited a friend who, unbeknownst to them, was about to embark on an otherworldly experience. As we engaged in a spirited debate regarding the playground's haunted status, an inexplicable event unfolded before our eyes. In the midst of our animated discussion, a brilliant triangle-shaped streak of light materialized, descending from the heavens and piercing the ground below. Time seemed to slow as we collectively gazed in awe at the mesmerizing sight. It was akin to witnessing a slow-motion spectacle, a silver luminosity reminiscent of a moonlit sword's reflection, defying rational explanation. Another incident etched itself into the annals of our haunted playground chronicles. On a different occasion, we found ourselves accompanied by a different group of friends. The night was cloaked in darkness, as night generally is, and as we roamed the playground, we were suddenly startled by thunderous stomping sounds emanating from the surrounding foliage. It was as if a human were sprinting toward us. Heartbeats racing, we braced ourselves for an encounter, only to be taken aback when a graceful deer emerged from behind a tree. It moved silently, as if treading on air, effortlessly blending into the nocturnal landscape. Minutes later, one of our friends exhibited an uncharacteristic urgency, gently but persistently urging us to leave the playground. Intrigued by his behavior, I lagged behind, cautiously surveying the surroundings. As we made our way out of the park, a path that necessitated passing the nearby Park District clubhouse, my gaze was drawn upward. There, atop the rooftop, perched a figure shrouded in darkness, its details obscured by the shadows. A head, a torso, and an arm tightly gripping the chimney were pretty discernible, while a chilling realization washed over me. The figure possessed horns. Its sinister form seemed both surreptitious and yet intently focused on our group, hidden in plain sight. With a sense of urgency, we reconvened to the safety of our car, and it was only then that our friend finally revealed the cause of his sudden haste. Immediately following the sighting of the enigmatic deer, he too had noticed the horned figure on the rooftop, a sight that defied all logic and compelled him to evacuate us from the premises with unprecedented speed. The fact that I'd witnessed the same chilling spectacle right down to the intricate details of the horns sent a shiver down my spine. In the wake of the encounter with the horned figure, our visits to the haunted playground dwindled. We discovered that the peculiar paranormal occurrences were not exclusive to the confines of the playground itself. In fact, the surrounding area held its own eerie secrets. One such incident unfolded when I decided to take my girlfriend to that haunted playground. We parked the car a safe distance away, 2 blocks from the playground itself, and as we sat in the darkness, our cigarettes casting ethereal glows, an unexplained phenomenon unfolded before our eyes. Emerging from the direction of the haunted playground, a figure began traversing the streets. Strangely, it possessed a discernible human form, yet it was transparent, as if we were peering through a ghostly veil. The sight sent waves of fear crashing over me, prompting a hushed exchange with my girlfriend, desperately seeking confirmation that I wasn't hallucinating. Whispering, I cautiously inquired, "Do you see it? There's something out there that's unsettling me and I don't want to hear it, sus." Relieved, she replied, "Oh, thank goodness you see it too." Encouraged by her acknowledgement, I pressed further. "Tell me, what do you see? I need to know I'm not losing my mind." She hesitated before responding. "The apparition of a person walking, yet not really there." Perplexed and frightened, I probed deeper. Exactly what in the world could that be? She offered a foreboding explanation. Could it be a will-o'-the-wisp, a malevolent entity? Together we watched in silent terror as the transparent figure continued its spectral journey, vanishing into the labyrinth depths of the nearby subdivision. We waited in breathless anticipation for what felt like an eternity, ensuring the entity had truly departed before cautiously starting the car, its engine purring softly in the enveloping darkness. We departed, leaving behind the mysteries of the haunted playground and the enigma of the ethereal being that had crossed our path. To this day, the entity and nature of the horned figure and the transparent specter remain shrouded in ambiguity. The haunted playground, nestled within a larger forest interconnected by highways and neighboring subdivisions, seemed to be a portal to a realm beyond our comprehension. Tales of inexplicable happenings had emanated from the depths of this enigmatic forest since my childhood. From ritualistic arrangements of dismembered deer strewn amidst the twisted foliage, to reports of a stolen cow's head found abandoned within its grim confines, the forest carried an air of darkness and the macabre. As I reflect upon my encounters and the mysteries surrounding the haunted playground and its eerie surroundings, I'm left with a lingering sense of unease. Perhaps there are realms that elude our comprehension, veiled in the shadowy corners of our existence. The haunted playground and the forest it connects to continue to stand as silent witnesses to the enigmatic forces that reside beyond the realm of our understanding, waiting to be explored by the brave or unwitting souls who dare to venture into the depths of the unknown. Story number 14. There's a demon that lives in our station. As an EMT working for an ambulance company, my days are filled with encounters that reaffirm the eerie superstitions and belief in the supernatural that permeate the EMS community. Countless colleagues, firefighters, and EMTs have their own chilling tales, ranging from haunted stations to unexplainable paranormal experiences that defy rationality. In our company, we have 5 stations, each harboring its own collection of stories. Although only a couple of them are truly bone-chilling, there are common occurrences like fleeting shadows, unsettling sensations in the stations, and sporadic unexplained knocks, voices, or even growls that occasionally send shivers down our spines. The station I'm currently stationed at is our main hub, serving as the storage facility for a couple extra supplies. It's not uncommon to find crews bustling in and out of all hours, carrying out resupply tasks. Everyone knows that the ambulance bay takes on a creepy aura at night, with reports of disembodied voices, phantom footsteps echoing throughout the garage, and the sound of ambulance doors opening and closing on their own accord. Throughout my 2 years at this station, I've heard these tales, but I've always been able to rationalize them as my partner or perhaps other crew members going about their duties in the bay during late-night hours. The only experience that defied explanation occurred when I was growled at in the garage one late night. In that moment, I quickly realized that I was the only person present in the bay, and I certainly hadn't growled at myself. Filled with a mix of curiosity and trepidation, I swiftly left the scene. Yet, that encounter stood as the sole inexplicable incident, and for the most part, I felt relatively at ease within the station's confines. That is, until last night. The station itself is compact, comprising a living room attached to a kitchenette, with a hallway branching off toward the garage on one side and the bathroom on the other. At the end of the hallway lies a door leading to the junior EMT's bedroom, which then connects to the senior EMT's bedroom. If you venture into the garage, a staircase ascends to the attic, spanning the entire living quarters of the station. In the dead of night, I slumbered soundly in my own bedroom, alongside my partner and hers. All doors were firmly shut, creating an air of solitude. However, I was abruptly jolted awake by a cacophony of thunderous banging, causing the very walls to tremble. This was no ordinary banging. It was accompanied by the unmistakable sound of someone or something sprinting with tremendous force and speed through the attic upstairs. The reverberations were so intense that the walls appeared to quake in response. The source of these sounds had to be colossal, considering the volume and intensity emanating from above. Then, the pace quickened. The thundering footsteps surged faster and faster, surpassing any reasonable speed. The stomping was relentless. Each footfall followed immediately after the other. It was as though there were 10 individuals sprinting overhead, or perhaps a grotesque creature with an excessive number of legs scurrying right above my bed. The velocity was inconceivable, too rapid, too frenetic. Eyes wide and eyes filled with dread, I sat upright, hurtling in the corner of my bedroom, overcome by a primal, visceral sensation of terror. It resembled the fear prey might experience when hunted relentlessly. Suddenly, a thought intruded upon my mind, as if it had been forcefully implanted from some otherworldly source. I just knew with every fiber of my being that the entity above was fully aware of my wakefulness and my knowledge of its presence. It was as if a twisted version of my own thoughts had been projected into my mind, a malevolent force taunting me with its awareness and power. As the frenzied footsteps continued their relentless assault on the attic above, I mustered the courage to peek out of my bedroom. The dimly lit hallway stretched before me, shrouded in an oppressive silence, save for the thunderous cacophony echoing from above. With each step I took, my heart pounded in my chest, matching the rhythm of the unearthly stomping overhead. As I approached the staircase leading to the attic, a bone-chilling realization dawned upon me. This was no mere haunting or spectral presence. This was something far more sinister, something beyond the realm of the natural world. Summoning every ounce of bravery within me, I ascended the creaking stairs, the noise of my footsteps drowned out by the relentless barrage from above. As I reached the attic door, I hesitated for a moment, contemplating the horrors that awaited me on the other side. But I couldn't let fear paralyze me. I had to confront whatever malevolent force resided within. With trembling hands, I pushed open the attic door, and the sight that greeted me was beyond comprehension. Base was bathed in an otherworldly glow, casting eerie shadows against the walls. The air crackled with an unnatural energy, and the frenetic footsteps seemed to originate from nowhere and everywhere simultaneously. But there in the center of the attic stood a grotesque figure, a twisted version of humanity, distorted and contorted in unimaginable ways. Its elongated limbs and contorted features bore no resemblance to anything I'd ever seen. Its eyes glowing with a sickly green light, fixated on me with an intensity that pierced my soul. I stood frozen in terror as the creature emitted a chilling otherworldly sound, a mixture of growls, whispers, and indistinguishable words. It beckoned to me, its elongated fingers curling, inviting me to join in its macabre dance. In that moment, survival instincts kicked in, and I knew I had to flee. I turned on my heels, running down the stairs as fast as my legs could carry me, the thunderous footsteps of the creature following closely behind. The force of its pursuit was relentless, its malevolence palpable. As I burst through the front door of the station, gasping for breath, I glanced back to see the attic window aglow with an unholy light. The creature, now partially visible, stretched its twisted form toward the night sky, emitting an ear-splitting screech that echoed through the darkness. I stumbled into the street, heart pounding, mind filled with a mixture of terror and disbelief. The realization sank in that I had encountered something beyond explanation, a twisted version of reality that shattered my understanding of the world. To this day, I bear the weight of that encounter, haunted by the memory of the malevolent creature in the attic. It serves as a constant reminder that there are forces in this universe that defy comprehension, lurking in the shadows, waiting to be discovered by those unfortunate enough to stumble upon them.